Damn, son, where'd you find this?
People don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any other narrative that makes them look bad.
And one thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who act like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
Guys, Chico, they never lied.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late. They cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? Hold on a minute. Let me get this right. All right. What's the word? What's the word? What's the word? Peace, blessings, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. Good to be here. Happy to see you. Wednesday right around the corner. If you're still amongst the land of the living, you got a number of things to be grateful for. There's no need for you to complain. There's no need for you to cry, even though things might not be going the way that you want them to. Be grateful in all that you have. My thoughts and prayers to all the family and friends celebrating the lives of soldiers who have served this country today. Shout outs to my poets, my writers, my content creators, so on and so forth. You see the title, right? If you're not familiar with this story, I got a clip. I'm going to let it rock out. And I'm going to share my 2 cents. Apparently, there's some children that have access to weapons that they shouldn't have. And in consequence, there was a woman who was a recipient of some unnecessary violence. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up on the big screen. I'm going to let this rock out just to give y'all context, just in case you're not familiar with this particular story. I've been sitting on this one for a couple days. So let's go ahead and jump into this footage real quick.
I just remember her facial expression. It was kind of like a look of shock.
Once you heard the shooting, what did you think that was? I knew it was a gunshot. How many times was she shot? How many gunshots did you hear? I thought I had died.
Do you have any opinion on whether Dr. Parker could have foreseen JT's actions that day based on the information that she had?
I think it would be difficult for anyone to have foreseen that.
Well, it could be tipping the scales in the criminal trial for the first grader shoots teacher case. In the case against Dr. Ebony Parker, the former assistant principal of a Virginia elementary school. Abby's Warner, the teacher who was shot by the 6-year-old, won her civil case. We watched that play out here on Court TV.
We, the jury, on the issues joined, find in favor of the plaintiff, Abigail Werner, and assess her damages at $10 million. The award interest beginning on June 1st, 2024.
That was $10 million. It wasn't her money. You know, I'm sure she was a little disappointed by the civil jury's verdict, but now the criminal proceedings are ahead, and she's charged with 8 counts of felony child neglect. What can we expect at the trial? How might witnesses here play a factor into the criminal courtroom and civil night and day? We have with us an attorney representing many of the students, 8 of them, and an adult. Let's bring her in here to discuss. Emily Brandon. Emily, good morning to you. First, what is your connection to the case? You're representing students, these 8 students. What's your role? What's the student's role and the adult that you represent's role here as we move forward towards this criminal proceeding?
Thank you, Ted. Yes, I represent 8 students who were witness to the shooting in the classrooms. And I represent an adult who was actually on school grounds that day to pick up a grandchild and ended up in the melee in the front office and actually did render some aid to Abby during the commotion before first responders arrived. And the basis of those lawsuits is related to the emotional pain and suffering, along with some physical injuries such as sleepless nights. We've had some kids that have experienced bedwetting, flashbacks. Most of them have been diagnosed with PTSD following this event. And so that is the nature of the cases that I have, which are civil in nature.
And is the assistant principal named in this, or is the district is the same scenario as we saw with Abby's lawsuit?
It is the same scenario as Abby's lawsuit. However, in my case, everyone is still in the case. So in Abby's case, right before trial, I think back in maybe July of 2025, there was a hearing, and the school board and Dr. Foster Newton were both dismissed from the case, leaving only Ebony to stand that trial that you just finished up last week. In my case, we haven't made it yet to those motions. And so every entity is still in my case as a defendant.
Gotcha. It makes sense. Let's talk about the criminal case that is ahead here. What are your thoughts? I mean, the civil, I get you'd sue her, but should this woman, she had a horrible day at work. She made every wrong decision you could argue. Should she go to jail or prison for that? What's your take on the state going after her criminally?
Well, I think it's important for people to know that this was a very special proceeding that happened in order to bring these charges, which was a special grand jury. So in Newport News, they convened a confidential, I believe, special grand jury, and they heard evidence over a course of about 2 to 3 weeks, which is essentially like a trial, but with a lot less of the rules. And their job was to determine if they felt, based on that evidence that they had heard, was there enough to bring these charges? And they decided yes. And I don't know if you've read the report that they wrote, but it was scathing. I have never seen a special grand jury report with such detail and frankly emotion. And I was there during those proceedings because some of my clients gave testimony in that special grand jury proceeding. And it was really hard to hold back tears from most of the people in the room when you heard from these parents. And so it's a tough question to answer because we're all human and we certainly have sensitivity to and sympathy for an individual who's facing so much for this one event. But wow, obviously a group of her citizen peers felt that she failed these children and she failed everyone in the school that day. And that's why these charges are here.
I just remember her.
Question. You can leave it in the comments. You can leave it after. Hell, you can have the conversation with your friends and your family after this. But I wanna ask y'all a question. If a child manages to bring a weapon onto school grounds, manages to unholster and actually use the weapon on an authority figure, does this fall solely on the school? You heard what I heard. The assistant, not even the actual principal, the assistant, former assistant, has to come up with 10 million. Not only that, it's most likely she's going to end up getting some time for this. Possibly. Given the complexion of the woman who was the recipient of the assault, there's a likelihood that that woman is about to do some time. My question to you is, does all of this fall solely on the former assistant principal? What I found interesting about this case is that not one time did you hear anything mentioned about the parents. How does the child make it to school with a loaded gun? How does the child at that age manage to locate your property, a piece of property that is responsible for taking the lives of millions of men, women, and children? How does your child have access to something that is supposed to be secure and placed somewhere without anybody else being able to have access to it? Now, I've already expressed my disdain for the school system. Doesn't matter what state it's in, anywhere in the United States. These establishments have severely failed the students, failed the parents, failed the communities. How many times have we had a story of school shootings? How many school shootings have we had in the last few years? How many times have we had this conversation about school shootings? Children getting access to weapons, how they're getting access to them, who's supplying them, the effects of social media amplifying the anger and the hatred and the lack of conscientiousness that would give a child the illusion or the perception that the only way to handle life is through violence. How many times do we have to sit up here and have these discussions over and over and over and over again? Now, you might not really care. You might not think that this is that serious. I beg to differ. How does a child make it all the way to a school and then by the grace and mercy of the Lord himself covered and protected this woman? She could have lost her life in front of a bunch of other students. Imagine being in that classroom and you see one of your classmates pull out a gun and start to shoot as a kid. But what I'm looking at is someone who is trying to put all of the fault on one particular woman, when in all actuality, this comes down to a number of different things, and we're going to address them all, starting with the parents. This might not apply to you, but you might know somebody that this applies to. This generational curse that is spreading from house to house, from adult to child, it has to stop. It has to be addressed. It has to be acknowledged. We're not going to pretend as if the devil is not real. We're not going to pretend that what we are witnessing here is the lack of guidance, the lack of concern, the lack of consideration, the lack of empathy. The younger my generation has children, the slower they got, the more rebellious they got, the more combative they got, the more they became less concerned about the development of these young minds, and the more they were concerned about their lustly desires and pleasures, the worldly pleasures, the worldly lifestyle. The younger we have kids, the dumber you get, the more irresponsible you get. Your children, they're depressed. Your children are unaliving themselves. Your children are violent. They don't know how to control or regulate their emotions. They don't know how to communicate. They're not graduating. Their education is declining. Their voices are not being heard. Their attention span is short, increasingly getting shorter as time progresses. They have no respect for authority. They have no respect for you. You are their friends. You are their compadres. You want to be their buddies and their pals. You don't want to discipline your children anymore. Society has told you that if you put your hands on your child, you're going to jail. They're going to be removed from your house. Some of you would rather have the child support. You would rather have the free benefits. Some of you just have kids just so that you can live off the government. If you think I'm lying, I could pull up plenty of clips If you think I'm exaggerating, I can show you plenty of different stories that I've covered. There's a lot of you that are irresponsible. A lot of you are just out here wild and out, just having sex, just to be having sex. You bring in people into this world and you ain't healed. You're unhealthy. You're unhappy. You're bitter. You're miserable. You're broken. You never got therapy. You never got healing. You never got the type of relationship that you wanted out of your loved ones. You don't know God. You weren't in proper fellowship. You are taking the sins of your father's fathers and you're passing it on to everybody else down the line, and they're paying for it. Your friends are not holding you accountable. Your family aren't holding you accountable because you were disrespectful, because you were dismissive of the rules in the household, because you inherited this behavior from your uncles and your uncles and your cousins, and you just take all of their bull. You don't understand what's happening, and then you spread it. You don't even have a care in the world. Do you know that a lot of our young ladies and our young men could be walking free on the street? They could be still here on this planet had the guidance been there. Why am I saying all this? I'm saying it because look at where we're at. That woman could have lost her life. She could have died in front of a bunch of children. They're traumatized. They have PTSD, according to this clip here. Life is never going to be the same for them again. Matter of fact, who expects to get up in the morning, get in the tub, get in the shower, eat your favorite breakfast, put your book bag on, and have your parents drop you off at school, or you get off the school bus, you go on there, you just being a kid, you're in class, the teacher is doing what the teacher does, and then out of nowhere, one of your fellow students pulls out a gun and then proceeds to shoot at a authority figure. Is that normal? Is that normal? Are you trying to make this normal? Is any of this supposed to make sense to me? This young soul is one of many kids that have either shot a parent or shot an authority figure. A few weeks ago, I did a story on a 16-year-old girl. She shot and killed her mom. What's going on in the minds of these children where they feel the only way out or the only way to express themselves is through pulling a trigger? Okay. The former assistant principal plays an integral role in what happens here. There's no denying that. But we need to take this a step further. It is 2025. I am pretty sure this location is just as aware of the dangers as every other district. Social media spreads. It can't be contained. The news is everywhere. If you've seen one school shooting on TV, you've seen all of them on TV. How are you not prepared for this type of stuff? Have we just gotten so comfortable? Like, I'm at the point where I'm alert for everything at all times. At schools, at libraries, playing duck, duck, goose, hide and go seek. You cannot just be casually doing too much of anything anymore without there being a potential danger. After the first 25, 15, 80 school shootings, you think by now that these establishments would have all collectively came together and said, look, man, we enough is enough. Like, damn, we just keep on consistently having the same thing happening over and over and over again. School shooting today, school shooting next week, Colorado, Columbine. Like, how many tragic losses must happen before you change your approach? If somebody tell you to stop smoking because it causes cancer, or they tell you that your lungs are bad, or your blood pressure is high and you need to watch what you intake, don't you think you will listen to your physician? Do you think that a person who survived cancer is about to put themselves back in a situation where it can come back by doing the same stuff that got them in the space that they were in? No. Are we just blind? I don't understand it. I don't get it. Do you know what's really foul about this whole thing? And I hate to be the one to say it, but guaranteed before this year's out, you're going to hear about another one, because nobody's really trying to do anything about it. I don't believe that this woman should be getting the grunt of all of it. This does not just fall all solely on her. You got the principal, you got teachers. You don't have security guards in there, guidance counselor, custodians. You don't have cafeteria workers in there. You don't have metal detectors. Oh, let me guess. Nobody's expecting elementary school kids and these chilling. You don't anticipate that they're gonna walk in there with some type of caliber weapon. Nigga, I don't care if you playing roll your boat, musical chairs. There is a likelihood that one of these kids are unstable, and it's nobody's fault but the parents. It's the parents' fault. Yeah, you gotta put the press on the parents. You gotta put some type of pressure on them parents. Granted, the schools are to blame. They continuously show me every day that they ain't doing their job. Cause y'all still up here sleeping with students and you still getting away with all type of molestation and shit. But these parents, man, these parents are fucking lazy. They're lazy. They don't have their eyes on you. You 12 years old, 9 years old, walking around in the streets freely, hanging out with your friends. Your ass should not be outside at 8, 9 years old, running around. Do you know where we are? Do you know what country we in? Pedophiles, perverts. They're everywhere. Always, all the time. I just made a community post. I don't even know if I still got it. Let me see if I still got that shit. Hold up. This motherfucker right here went back to jail, or he was apprehended for like 150. Probably, matter of fact, I might be just lowballing. I think that shit was more than that. This fool has. Hold up, man. Let me see if I can find that shit. It might be in my camera. Hold on. Is this it? It's one of these joints, man. This shit right here. This shit right here. See that? See him? Louisiana man rearrested on 392 counts of child pornography and 2 counts of sexual abuse of an animal. I want y'all to take a close look at that, just in case you are in the Louisiana area. Matter of fact, just in case you are walking the face of planet Earth, there's a bunch of these people out here. There's a whole lot of them. Did you hear that shit? He's fucking with animals. He's fucking around with animals. And he had over, what was that shit? Over 300 and something fucking, bruh. What? And you mean to tell me that y'all just so comfortable letting your peoples just walk around and post on social media? They can be up there wearing shit that they shouldn't be wearing for their age. You got them up here doing TikTok and YouTube reels and shorts, doing dance little routines, and these little ass girls, and you got them doing all this shit up here, and you got fucking monsters like this constantly. Like, what? That shit is crazy. No. I'm not saying be scared or be a hermit crab. I'm saying that y'all not teaching these kids the way that you're supposed to. I know you hurt. I'm sorry that you went through what you went through. I feel for you. I know that you wanted something different. I know you wish you could hug your peoples again. I know you wish that you could have healed sooner. I know you wish that you could have stopped and reset all that was going on with you when you. I know, but don't take your shit out on these kids, man. Stop taking it out on them. Because guess what? If you don't care, you're going to be in another situation like this. I did another story like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old girl, 2 girls, they molested a fucking 5-year-old. Like the boy was like 5 years old or some shit like that. You would think that I was exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. It is not a joke. It's not a game. There's so much wickedness going out here. You could only assess what is put in front of you. And based on what I'm watching, kids do not come out of the womb wanting to do this type of stuff. You train them to be that way. You show them examples of this. You are the poster child for what a man is supposed to look like or what a woman is eventually supposed to grow into. All they see is ratchetness. All they see is hood shit. All they see is this ignorant, fake dignitary stuff. You are absolutely failing. So you got this white woman who gets shot by a little kid in a elementary school, and you want to put all of the blame on this black woman. Just lost her job and she's probably about to do time, and you're putting it all on her as if, well, nobody else was around, as if she's the only one who opens and closes those doors. That's crazy to me. Let me read this real quick. That's a good question as to why just the principal. I wonder if the teacher said something to the principal about the child. Or, I mean, you know what? That's a good point. That's a good point. Because y'all, a lot of y'all know your kids, like you should. And a lot of your kids are bad as fuck. But you take their side. You're one of those, I'm gonna side with my child even if they wrong. But you know they wrong, and you still gonna enable the behavior. I wouldn't doubt that they knew what kind of student they had. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. I wouldn't even doubt that this was, matter of fact, this had to be a reoccurring thing. He probably never had the gun before, but that attitude, anytime a child can do this, I already know they bad. I already know they bad. I wouldn't doubt for a minute that they had discussions, and either it got dismissed or it got overlooked. Teacher, principal, somebody from that organization reached out to the parents. Hey, look, we need you to, yeah, they got potential, but I mean, come on, help us out. There's only so much we can do. We got them for 8 hours. You have them for the rest of your life. Help us out. And you're not doing your part. Impossible. You can't convince me you are. Kids wouldn't be guarding abandoned houses. You wouldn't have King Vons. You wouldn't have a bunch of futures running around with 80 kids. You wouldn't have a bunch of kids wanting to be sexy red. You wouldn't have a bunch of these kids trying to be inspiring artists, dressing up like Kim Kardashian for Halloween and shit, smoking weed, popping pills in the hallway, in the bathroom. When I was at this high school, I used to work at a high school. They pop pills in the bathroom. They pop pills in there. They have sex in there. They have sex in the stairwells. Anywhere they can do whatever They doing it. It's not a joke. These are teenagers. But now we at the point of where you gotta watch the 5-year-olds, the 6-year-olds, the 7, the 8, the 9, the 10-year-olds. Now you don't know where it's coming from with these kids. You want to put all of this on this one woman? Really? $10 million on this one particular person. So nobody else is responsible. I thought it was supposed to be a collective team. We're all here together. We're all here to protect everybody here in this space. When parents send their kids off to school while they go to work, who's responsible? Not just that one particular woman, but everybody. See something, say something. Does she deserve to be punished? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm curious. I'm going to follow this case because I want to know. What's the verdict going to be like? Is she going to get jail time? This woman talking about traumatic distress and emotional distress, and these kids also are part of it. And now you got the kids that are traumatized by it. They're going to be wondering every single day now if another student is going to come to school and try to pew pew. That's not how anybody wants to grow up. Nobody signs up for that. Nobody as a child grew up wanting to be worried about a bullet going through their window or through their classroom. But we keep having this same thing happening over and over and over again. My thoughts and prayers go out to the family. My thoughts and prayers go out to them students that had to see that firsthand when you shouldn't have. My thoughts and prayers go out to these schools. For the love of everything, man. Y'all need to figure out something. Figure it out. Why is this continuously happening? Nah, you can't happen what happens after school. But you have a role to play in developing the minds of these kids. What the hell is the point of a counselor? Why do you have one in there if they're not talking to these kids? What's the point? That's crazy, man. That is absolutely fucking sad. But thank the Lord that this woman survived. Seriously. This ain't about race or skin color, none of that stuff. This is about right and wrong, and this is about correction. We don't correct each other anymore. We don't correct our kids. We don't correct our family. We don't correct our friends. We don't correct these establishments. We just all out of order doing whatever the hell we want and oblivious to all that is happening around us. Pure anarchy. It said it in the Bible that the kids would definitely be wilding out and the parents will be wilding out and they will be going and bumping heads with it. Mm-hmm. This is crazy, man. It's crazy, bro. You're like, to this day, I do not curse at anyone that is older than me. And I'm over 40. I will still show respect to an elder You 50, 60, 70. I don't care if you said something I don't like. I'm still not going to curse in front of you or at you. I was brought up that way. I was raised to respect my elders regardless. You don't talk back to them. Not like whatever this is right now, it ain't it. It's not it at all. And like, I keep it a whole buck. I got family right now. I got a brother. That man he got he got his thing. Respectful kids, but like the moms is wild. He's wild as shit too. So it's like, how are you going to get them to live a different life when you are not showing them the way? You give them everything they want. They don't know the value of a dollar. They don't know the consequences of their actions. Hell, I had to get on my niece because she's smoking. The fuck you doing smoking? Her mom's smoking with her and shit. The fuck is that? Excuse my language, but I just gotta keep it a buck. Like, we are passing along these generational sins, man, and they are paying for it. They didn't ask for that. They didn't. And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to get any better. I don't see it getting any better. The younger that people have kids, the worse it get. They don't even have the proper tutelage whatsoever. Like, if Arcana or EQRC, let's say you run into a kid similar to this. This is not even with the gun, but they have the attitude. You're probably going to handle it differently than the parent, because, like, to me, if you can do this at school, I know you're doing things at home that's just as bad. They don't know what respect is. They don't know how to show it. They don't know how to give it. They don't know how to receive it. That's where the weak men come from. That's where the 304s come from. You want to know where Sexy Red came from? You want to know where all of these perverts came from? All you got to do is look in that high school yearbook at your mama and your daddy. Ask them about their history and how they were in the street. Hey. that was funny as shit. For real, you can't even beat your kids. If you whoop your kids, CPS coming. If you whoop your kids, the police coming. The Bible says, "Spare not thy rod from your children." All of this that's happening is because nobody wants the word. Nobody wants God. Take God out of the equation, and you get to do whatever you want in life. You get to rob people. You get to steal from people. You get to honor a code that pretty much supports being a devilish, ravenous soul. You remove God from the equation, you can spread diseases. You got people out here spreading HIV to people just because they're mad that they got it. Kids killing each other. Kids shooting parents and shooting. Come on, man. Look at this face one more time. See that? Louisiana. 392 counts of child pornography and 2 counts of sexual abuse of an animal. You can't make this stuff up. So the next time you walk outside your door and you send your loved ones to school, or you put them on a bus, or I'm not telling you to be worrisome about everything. What I am saying is stop pretending like we don't live amongst monsters. Yeah, like the days of Noah. Yeah, been crazy. It's been, and it's getting worse. It's getting worse. We need to pray more. We need to pray over our house. We need to pray over our family. We need to pray over this country. We need to rebuke, loosen, bind, cast out. If you are someone who actually believes in God, then your voice matters. Because guess what? There's a lot of adults out here who don't believe. And it's just obvious. There's a lot of adults out here that are lawless. They live reckless. Their rules, their jurisdiction, their principles, their morals, all of this is them. They are their own deities, their own gods. And when you live around people who live for themselves and they don't have a faith or a belief in anything other than their own motion, as if they gave life to themselves, oh, you better stay covered in the blood, man. Real talk. But nah, my final thoughts is pretty much that woman is not alone in this. She ain't the only one who is dealing with this. Give her her portion, but don't sit up here and try to make her the living sacrifice for the rest of your inadequacies. Exactly. None of this stuff mean anything. None of it. It's all temporal. Every last portion of it. Your laugh, your smile, your anger, your confusion, your contemplating, all of those little emotions that you take for granted and you think they're just no, all of it is temporal. This life is temporal. That woman could have lost her life. And all because of what? Because the school system failed, because the parents failed, because adults are failing. It makes no sense. None. So you sitting here, you're going to tell me that this woman was supposed to single-handedly predict that this child was going to come to school with a gun and shoot this woman. And then she was supposed to, I don't know, That's So Raven predict all of this and then prevent it. Even though she was the assistant. Everybody failed. Everyone here failed. Every adult here failed. And I don't like how they try to put all of this on one person. Fact of the matter is, this shouldn't have even happened anyway. But I digress. Shout out to everybody, man, who pulled up tonight. I appreciate the exchanges. Arcana is one of the hardest working brothers right now on YouTube. I thought I was moving. Bro got motion. He been getting it in. Salutes, bro. EQRC, I'm glad you brought a lot of these points up. I'm glad. Matter of fact, let me bring these up. Hold up. So y'all can see what I'm talking about, just in case you don't. Worry about your soul, not the material things. Once your soul leaves the body, that's it. You can't take your car, your jewelry, your $500 bag, your $20,000 bag. You can't take your lipstick. You can't take your autographed basketball, none of that. We too vain, too superficial, man. Just crazy. My final point, and this was perfect. You know why we are having this conversation? Because I care about it. And I think there's other people who care about it. Everything ain't about sex and drugs and gossiping. You know, we have people that are actually out here struggling, in pain, going through, struggling mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And for this post right here, God absolutely had his hand on this woman. 1000%. And this should bring up a bigger discussion afterwards. This shouldn't be the last time that this is brought into any type of room with your cousins, with your family members, with your coworkers. There should be more discussions about situations like this, because sometimes it don't end like this. There's children who have died from school shootings. They don't get a chance to come back. This woman did. So food for thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your night. I appreciate y'all for hanging out. This is all love. Me and Sydney spinning the block tomorrow evening. Well, that's her segment. That's her thing. I'll jump back on off the morning, Lord willing. And we active. We gonna keep pushing. December's right around the corner. But you know, tomorrow's never promised to nobody. So if these are my final thoughts and words with you guys, I just want to say happy Veterans Day. Thank you. If you have loved ones that's still around, let them know that I'm grateful for their service. God bless your households. God bless your finances. And drive safe. Get anything that's not of God in you, rebuke it, get it up out of you. And let's keep on pushing for these type of conversations. Let's continue to make the rest of society see that this stuff matters. It's important. It's nothing to joke around with. Appreciate you, bro. You always welcome. Always welcome. I love the feedback. Love it. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. I'll see you tomorrow, Lord willing. Signing out. Peace. Oh, do me a solid before you go.
What's the goddamn button?
Peace.